Dudes, welcome to Sense of Style. My name's Stuart. Thanks for tuning in. A little behind this week. My mom, she's 77. She was T-boned by a truck. She's in hospital, broke a lot of bones. She's fine. She's in good shape. She's a tough old nut. But yeah, it's got me behind a little bit on my videos. I know most of you won't really care about this, but for the regulars, I am a little bit behind, but I'm wanting to be super consistent, so I do apologize for that. Okay, so let's get to the topic at hand, talking about 10 fragrances that are cheaper than discontinued, hard to find, or just expensive popular fragrances. And look, it's an expensive hobby, and it's fine. Like, if there's 2 or 3 favorites you have, you can get the original on eBay and pay a lot of money for it, but we don't want to do that for all of them. At least most of us don't have the money for that. So there's a lot of clones on this list. There's a lot of similar to fragrances. And I'm in a fortunate position in that I have a lot of like decants, travel sprays, and samples of expensive fragrances. And I have a lot of full bottles of a lot of clones and things like that. So I'm perfectly suited to do this kind of video. So if you want another top 10, if I get 100 likes or more, I'll do a second top 10 because I have tons of these in my collection. Okay, so let's get to it. Today I'm talking about, this is Highness Green by Afnan. And this is a clone of, let me hold off for a second. There's some controversy here. I am rarely ever critical or even like second guess some of the top YouTubers, like even privately or publicly, whatever. It's not something I do very often, but there is I've got a bit of a problem with what this is supposed to be a clone of. I'm going to put a picture of this fragrance up on the screen, and also I'm going to talk a little bit about Afnan because I have a ton of their fragrances. Afnan are not shy about hiding what they're cloning. And if you notice with this guy, there's green in the name, there's green in the bottle, and it has a very sort of green, piney smell. And yet, supposedly, this is a clone, according to 2 big YouTubers that have over 100,000 subs, supposedly this is a clone of Creed Royal Oud, which I have, and I went for a walk with both of these on, and I was like, what? What are you talking? This is not a clone. Highness Green is not a clone of Royal Oud. And unfortunately, the YouTubers have a lot of influence. If you go to Fragrantica page, most people that talk about this fragrance, or, that section where they go, this fragrance smells like most people have picked Royal Oud. It's not. It's absolutely not. I am not a perfumer. I am not a nose, but I'm not an idiot. It is not that. No, Afnan is not. They're not shy about who they're cloning, and they kind of hint at it. That's pretty much a regular for them. They don't do it for all of them, but they do it for a lot. This is Supremacy Incense. Comes in a dark blue bottle, much like Interlude Man, which this is a clone of. Smells very similar, and also it's called Supremacy Incense, and Interlude Man is known as the incense fragrance. All us collectors, we all know that. So Afnan doesn't hide. They hint. When they've got green in the name and green in the bottle and a piney green scent, how on earth is this a clone of Royal Oud, which is like, it's got some green facets, some minor ones, but really Royal Oud is one of the best woody fragrances on earth. Like, it's got every wood known to man, primarily cedar, but it's got a lot of other things. It's not a clone. It's about 50 to 60% Royal Oud. I've tested this to extreme. I've gone for long walks. I've tested it on paper. No, what Highness Green is a clone of this, Polo Green. However, Polo Green, this is a 2019 bottle. This has been watered down a lot since the original came out. And so Afnan decided that they were going to punch up, maybe clean up a little bit this. Not a lot, though. It's very similar to this, especially after the first 15-20 minutes. And yeah, they're just gonna instead of having to spend, a couple $100 to buy an original bottle of Polo Green, you can buy for $75 on discounters. You can buy Highness Green and have a really good sort of Polo Green experience, and that's what they were going for. Now, they cleaned it up in the open the first 10 or 15 minutes, as I said. It's kind of weird. I don't really know which direction it's going, but then it becomes so obvious. Now, it's a great scent, though. I mean, you're going to get 12 hours. I got 12 hours on my crappy skin, so you're probably going to get more than that. It is an absolutely beastly in terms of projection and longevity. Yeah, I thought longevity was a word, believe it or not. I really did. So yeah, what they were going for was polo green and not royal oud. Okay, next up we've got another Afnan fragrance, and again, they didn't hide who they were trying to clone. This is Supremacy in Oud, nice dark bottle here, and this is a clone of Initio's Oud for Greatness, of which I have a sample. I hope you can see that there. Yeah, so it's a clone of Oud for Greatness. It is really good. It's a really good clone. I know there are other Oud for Greatness clones out there. I haven't tried them. I've just tried this one. But here's how you know Oftenon are very confident in this fragrance. The packaging for this is unbelievable. They went all out. You've got this really nice, thick cardboard sleeve here. You've got this is like a little case. And like just the packaging this is way nicer than you normally get for a typical Afnan. They know they hit it out of the park, and they really did. In terms of similarity, like for the first 4 or 5 hours, it's unbelievably close. It's really hard for me to tell. I'm not a perfumer, but man, is it close. Now, the problem with a lot of these clones is they tend to break down after about 4 or 5 hours. As it goes along, it gets a little fuzzy. Now, but that, honestly, 4 or 5 hours of like a Oud for Greatness experience with this kind of packaging and a $45 price tag at the discounters, I mean, you really can't beat that. And honestly, every clone is I find to be very, very similar in terms of breaking down and losing the sharpness and similarity to the original. But what it is basically a very sweet oud. The sweet notes, oud and saffron. It's a typical oud triangle without the rose, but they put sweetness in instead. Very sweet, very nice, lovely fragrance, and a hell of a buy. Okay, the next one's a little bit weird. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, this is Lancome Garland. Okay, now this is an iconic fragrance. This is not Lidge. Lidge is Lancome Garland Extreme. That's also a legendary fragrance. I'm just talking about the original here, which is a classic gourmand fragrance. You get lemon, you get licorice, you get chocolate. It's absolutely gorgeous. However, much like polo green, although the polo green you got now is still pretty good. I don't mind it. This has been watered down into almost nothing. You'll get maybe 3, maybe 4 hours at most with no projection. This is a tester, by the way. So, yeah, it's very frustrating, and it's hard to get, though. This is hard to get. Even this watered down piece of crap is hard to get because the scent profile is so amazing. So here's what I recommend. Rather than buying an original bottle of this, which would cost you, I don't know how much. I don't even want to talk about it. I just bought this recently and I couldn't believe the resemblance. This is Dolce & Gabbana, the one. Gentleman. Holy crap, this is similar. It's about, I would say, it's about 80% similar, maybe 85, but it's got way better performance, way better depth, power, and longevity. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it sort of recaptures, in a kind of a similar way, the magic of the original of this. And I think for the moment, that's the best you can do to get it, rather than, taking out a loan. And next up, we've got probably one of Xerjoff's, one of their best fragrances, best known for sure. This is Neo. Neo by Xerjoff. And it's kind of legendary. To understand what it does, you need to understand how citrus works. There's all kinds of citrus, and there is like the sweeter versions, things like orange and maybe grapefruit, and then it gets progressively more bitter. You get to lemon, and then you get to bergamot, and then you start to get like hardcore bitter citrus, almost like green and grassy. And that's really important because it gives some variety to what you can wear in the crappy summer season where you don't have a lot of choice. So what Neo did was it made a really good green, grassy, bitter citrus fragrance, and Artisan Pure by John Varvatos. Yeah, they nailed it. Now, is it 100%? No, but it's about 90%. Performance isn't fantastic, but like for bitter citrus, it's hard to get good performance. Any citrus is hard to get good performance. John Varvatos has made this. You get 4 or 5 hours, and in the summer, it can last even longer because of the heat. So I think they did a really, really good job of, copying Neo or getting very close to it. And quite frankly, I've never heard anybody say that that's what John Varvatos was doing with Artisan Pure, because I think if you're a designer guy, you're probably not even thinking about it being close to an actual niche fragrance, but that's what they did. So next up is a fragrance that we all know about. It's super hyped right now. It's Detour Noir by Haramain, and this is a clone of Parfum de Marly Layton, and this ruined Layton for me, and I'll explain. Layton, I've had a travel spray for quite a while, but because I normally with travel sprays, I'll spray the hell out of it just to get a real feel. But because this is very expensive and because it's such a classic, I wanted to keep this as long as possible. This is my travel spray of Layton. So I didn't really do a heavy spray and get a full wear of it. I don't think I really got the true Layton experience until I got this. And I sprayed the hell out of it and I thought, oh my God, this is super feminine, or more feminine than I'm entirely comfortable with, which is weird for me because I don't give a crap about stuff like that. Black Orchid is one of my signature scents, so, I don't care. That's not a thing for me, and yet this is so feminine, I find. And I thought, oh, okay, it's probably just a more feminine take on Layton, and then I wore the two of them last week and together, and this is actually a hell of a good clone. I was wrong. This is not a feminine take. This is like a 95% accurate take. It's just that I never realized, Layton is unisex, and I never realized just how, it's a little bit on the feminine side for me, which is really weird because I know how hyped it is. I know how popular it is. I will say this is a great clone in terms of similarity, but again, much like Afnan's Supremacy in Oud, after about 4 or 5 hours, you lose the accuracy. The niche fragrances last a lot longer, and they keep their structure and composition and sharpness a lot longer, but you still get a hell of experience, of a Layton experience for $30 with this. It's unreal. And next up, we've got two fragrances that are very similar to Invictus Aqua 2016, or just generally the Invictus Aqua bubblegummy kind of scent. This is your sort of $35, $40 option. This is Montblanc Legend Spirit. And when I say 35, 40, I mean for 100 ml bottle. This is only a 30 ml, and this is a beautiful summer fragrance that I really like. It's very sweet and bubblegummy, as I said. It's totally not age appropriate for me. I don't give a crap. I wear this all the time. Now, if you want something a little cheaper that's got that similar bubblegum feel, this is Davidoff's Cool Water Wave, and this is more of a $20 option, although this is so inexpensive that they'll frequently sell this in 200 milliliter bottles. Now, this doesn't have much performance. You get about 3 hours, but it's a great little sort of spritz in the summer to feel good. Actually, Francis Kirkjohn was a perfumer on this fragrance. Really hard to believe given how expensive that the stuff is he works on now. But yeah, he was a perfumer on this. And they're both really good. This one's got a lot more performance. You'll get 5 or 6 hours. This one you'll get 2 or 3. But, they both smell really nice and very summery and very sweet. Okay, next up we've got Azzaro Ginger Lover. And it is a clone, or not a clone. It's very similar to L'Homme Ultime by Yves Saint Laurent. And they're both ginger fragrances in a big way. And they're very, very similar, except Ginger Lover actually has a little bit better projection early on. Not a lot in it. But this one is much more, has more body, and it lasts a lot longer, and it's a little more sophisticated. There's a rose note that you can pick up with this. It gives it the body. But this is still a really nice, similar fragrance to this. It's just the longevity isn't as good. If you like ginger, and you don't want to pay Yves Saint Laurent prices, you can pay Azzaro prices, and you're going to get at least 90% similarity in terms of experience. You just won't get the longevity. Okay, and then the last two fragrances are both sort of similar to fragrances of Creed, sort of legends. This one is Supremacy in Heaven by Oftenon, and this is a clone of Silver Mountain Water. Silver Mountain Water is blackcurrant, musk, and tea. It's got a very cooling kind of vibe. This, I get 6 hours performance, which is obviously about half of what you get of the original. But yeah, I just love the scent. And this is, again, $35-40. So it does a really good job of cloning. And then finally, the Aventus. This is a Aventus similar to, this is Montblanc Explorer. Now, the thing about this one is kind of weird. Most people will say, including myself, is that a better clone is Armaf Club de Nuit Intense Man. But that might be a better clone, but this is a better fragrance. This is actually a pretty solid fragrance. I would say this is about 80% Aventus, but because it's more muted, but they're also more honest in the note breakdown in this. They tell you the truth. Like Armaf says, they have real ambergris, they have real birch and real pineapple. I don't believe that for a second. These guys, they're more honest. They say they've got akagali wood and they use bergamot instead of pineapple. And I think the honesty, is appreciated. It makes me trust Montblanc a little bit more. And also, this is a really fine fragrance unto itself. It's a nice muted version of Aventus and still very pleasant. Anyway, so there's some options for you. And I do appreciate all the views and the comments. And take care, guys.